Okay, so let's take on part two today and get some options going. So if you remember, we took a look at that triangulated panel facade that we can make in Studio, and then start to apply that kind of theory and that design to our Dynamo for Revit model. And right away, I'm just going to grab a couple of different select edges nodes. I've modeled real quick, just kind of a pretty normal looking little building here. I threw in some angles to kind of make sense of it. Real quick floor, real quick roof, and that's about it. Nothing too special about the building. It's really could have just been four walls and a roof and a floor. So that'll take about 4 minutes to make. So I figured that'd save a little time because everybody knows how to do that. And then I'm just going to focus on this panel, and then I'll kind of do a Bob Ross here, and at the end I'll just show what the whole thing looks like. Because it's kind of rinse and repeat for each wall panel. So if we just do one, yeah, you should be able to take it and run with it. Let's go ahead and grab a number slider as well. Could have done an integer slider. Just chose to go with the number slider in case I, for whatever reason, want to go by quarter inch increments or anything like that. So that's going to control our number panels. We're going to do some curve. Divide. So obviously that's going to go into there. This curve's going to go into there. And at this point, we could probably start selecting the edge. Since this is my top node, I'm going to pick the top of the wall here. Since this is my bottom node, I'm going to pick the bottom node here. And then that's, look at that. Nice. Okay, so that kind of gives us that. We divided the curves a little bit. We're going to add a couple more panels. That might be excessive. 20 would be excessive, so I'll take it back down to 15 or so. Real quick, copy this node down because I want to save this number correlation there, but I want a different curve. Boom, boom, boom. Before I do that, maybe I don't want these panels to go all the way to the bottom. If there was ever a need for you to do maybe like a offset by plane. Let's see if I can grab that real quick. This is kind of a tricky node sometimes. Let's do curve, pull onto plane. There it is. Could do this a different way now that I think about it. On that plane needs to be XY. Perfect. I'll just use code block. So I double click there for a code block. This way I'm starting to offset this curve. This line is going to get offset real quick. So, oh, sorry, I meant to connect that. There we go. Perfect. Now I've kind of pulled these panels up off the ground a little bit, which keep it away from the dirt and things like that. So that should be it. A little organization here so I can keep it simple. That's the end of that. We can start to pull in some of these building elements too, so we have a point of reference here too. So essentially, I'm just going to copy this down a couple different times. Oh, I'm sorry. Instead of a select edge, I do want select face. So, for instance, that face, and maybe I want that to have a color associated with it. Remember if Dynamo Studio has color picker, unless I'm missing it from some package. I thought it was already baked into current Dynamo, and this is Dynamo 1.2.1. I'm personally not ready to upgrade to Dynamo 1.3 yet. I still have some legacy projects in 2015. So it sounds like they're only going to support Dynamo for the latest 3 sessions, or the last 3 versions of it. So I think 2018 is out now. Came out this month in April, and then 17 and 16. So right now I'm in Revit 2016. That should do it for that. Now we need some more, a couple more nodes here. We only need a certain number of this list, so we're going to do a list slice. Just get that going real quick. Another code block, we'll do a 0 value, an x plus 1 value, and then a 1 value. And so what that does for us is we can take those values for the panels, panel, number of panels. I can toss that into there, and that gives me x+1 value, which I'll be explained here in a minute as we get going through this. I can take that as my start point list there. Let me think. X+1. Yeah, that sounds right. Yep, there we go. And then I need to step it by ones. Perfect. Same thing, except I want these points for these points. There we go. Awesome. So now I can start doing my line by start point, end point. And we'll see what we get here. Ah, interesting. So it's almost like these values are counting to 15 starting here. Now I bet 15 is here, and this is 0. So of course it's going to crisscross like that, right? So how would we see 15 and 0? So 0 is going to 0, 15 is going to 15, and subsequent values are going in between. So how would we or reverse it? Well, you would literally reverse the list. Very quickly, we could throw this in here. And I could reverse the top or the bottom, but anyway, that gives me my straight verticals. And then we can triangulate the surfaces in between. We're going to have to add another curves divide curve. Oh, we'll do number 2 because I think we're only splitting the panel in half, so divide by 2. There we go. So now I've got my midpoint on all the points. I'll have to do another slice again. Whoops. You type in slice and you expect slice to come up first. Okay, grab that list, that point list. We'll have to do it's technically geometry translate, but click. Okay. And I need those points to shift a little bit. I need to tell it how deep to go. So this number slider will be my panel depth, and that's how far the triangle kind of pops out, if you will. Probably doesn't need to go over that. It needs to. I think I had negative values for this, but that's not going to work for us, and that needs to go in the y direction. Perfect. Then I'll need to shift indices so by 1. So I just want to move some of these values over one row, one column, and then I want to remove a couple of them because I want the 0 to start with a 1 is, so I've shifted them over, and then I don't need that first value to continue on. And that'll be a 0 value. Okay, perfect. And I'll do the same thing. Remove an index. I can use this 0 value again, and I can that geometry. Hey, there we go. Do a line start point, end point. And I need to do a let's transpose the lower values. Then I'll need another one. There it is. Okay. For these values, then I'll need to do a list get item at index. Actually, I need 2 of those. One for these values for my transpose list from column 1, and then one for my start point, end point list transpose for these values here. Getting an error, but that makes sense because I am missing. No, I'm not missing anything. I'll figure that one out in a second here. Now we don't need this to be visible. We don't need this one to be visible. We don't need this to be previewed. Let me kind of work this back in my head. I don't think we'll need that one to be shown. And we won't need that one to be shown. There we go. All right. Oh, do I need a negative value on that? Let's see what we have here. Okay, so I will need a negative value on this. There we go. So that's essentially going to be my control points for the triangle. So I've got this point, we'll go to this point, we'll go back down to this point, and then this point will go back to there, and we can start to manage that triangulated depth a little bit here. If I can. Probably wouldn't hurt to hit save. Let's call this home tube. There, we backed up here. Huh. Seem to have a little. Alright. I think I figured out what's going on. Probably helps to connect up this list slice too. Pretty much identical to the other two list slices. Okay, now I should be able to. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Now we've got all of our first level of triangles, but I don't need these top ones and I don't need these bottom ones. They'll be quote unquote in the model, but I'm really just going to focus on the middle portion here. We can add more divisions to this and have a triple triangle surface or something like that, but for this instance we'll just do something nice and simple. So I'm going to freeze that preview, and since I've turned off some other lists here, that's why those appeared really quick. Now let's take a look at the next step for this. So we're going to start making the triangle surfaces. I'm going to start by grabbing this point, this point, this point, and then making a quick surface out of that. Pretty simple. Start with a code block -1. We'll do a list shift indices. I'll do a list create. I'll need 3 values for that because it's a triangle. List transpose. Sort these in order here. And then, of course, the perimeter points. So I'm connecting all of the dots of perimeter points. This goes here, this is the first value here, this value is here, this value is here. I'll need these points, because that's the top point. They'll go there, and then I believe I'm kind of making this up, so hit pause real quick and make sure that I figured this out. I'll need that, and then I'll need this list here. Let's just take a quick guess. I don't think I quite have that right. Oh, I grabbed that, the bottom value here. Yeah. So this value, I thought I grabbed that one. Okay, there we go. So we've got our top triangle, and it's kind of hard to see that one, and then we just need to start filling in the gaps for the triangles in between so we can create that tessellated surface. And that I wouldn't say is just as easy as copying this down, but more or less it is, except I don't need to shift. For the bottom one, I will need to shift indices because I'm going to make this triangle all as one to simplify things. So let me paste one more time because then all I need is, come on now, I just need that and this portion for that middle triangle. Alright, let me think for a second. I will need this value. The top list slice will be the top value there. The middle value will still continue to be this piece. Yes, okay, perfect, because that's this top part of the triangle. And then the lower portion will be the list reverse. I believe, and then that should do the middle portion. And it did something. Oh, there we go. Yes, yes, it did. Perfect. And we're almost done. You can already start to see it kind of start take that shape and that form. Last one, last but not least. Oh, and by the way, you should probably start at some point making groups out of these. I will call this one top panel. It's probably a better way to name that, but this one I will name mid panel. And then this group I'll group in just a second here after I've reconnected all the dots. So give me just 1 second. So at that point, I just need to grab the list reverse values. Put that one in there. Grab this list reverse, and I believe it's the middle one. I'm just going to check real quick just to make sure. And it was not be. I'm going to color these in just a second. Okay, give me 2 seconds to figure out which one it was. Oh, do I have 2 of those going in? Because the last one should probably be this one. There we go. Boy, that would help if that was colored. And we can do that in a second too. But so we've got the quasi-skeleton hanging out in here, but we still need the perimeter lines, and it'd be helpful to bring in the mass too, the geometry of the form. But at this point, we're still in kind of design mode, so we don't need to bring in any solid objects yet. But we can bring in the skeletal frame, and we can do that by creating a quick list. 3 points, top, middle, bottom. That creates a list of all those points. And I'm going to make a quick group here, as I said I would. Call it one bottom panel. And this is very, very similar to the surface by points, but it's actually going to be surface curves, perimeter curves. There it is. It's there the whole time. Probably will give me an error, but that's fine. I just want these lines to show up on all the edges. Oh, and there we go. So now I can see that skeletal frame that kind of comes in and shoots us our shape, and then it just makes that much more dominant to be able to see all these edges. So maybe I don't need to color it quite as much, but that kind of creates a really cool frame that we made in Dynamo Studio by using some of the same coding techniques to make it. So very interesting, very much a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead at this point and bring in the roof. I'm going to bring in the floor. I probably should have picked the top part of the floor, but hit run, pop, both pop in, and now I can start to see this shape a little bit better in my Dynamo for Revit model. And that's really it. Now we can start to play with the number of panels. Let me switch to auto mode. See if I can't break the machine. Hey, now we got less panels. Is that the look I'm going for? I don't know. Let's go ahead and depth. I thought I named that. I probably did, and I created it. Start to see. There it goes. Okay. That's interesting. And so with this being a color behind it, that also kind of creates this secondary effect of how deep this panel is, determines how much color you start to see. And it breaks right as I'm describing it. There it goes. Now that's pretty cool. Okay, well that's pretty much the end of the lesson. Basically you just copy all that code straight up, straight down, grab your top edge, your bottom edge for all these different wall surfaces. We don't need to make this a 2-hour-long session just to kind of do that. Probably wouldn't take that long, but that's kind of it. That's basically the crux of it. Okay, and thank you, and I'll be making my next video here shortly. Thanks everyone for joining.